hope is that we all get it. Don't give in to the pain, just keep living, cause
got dreams I'm striving for. So I'm gonna live higher. I'm gonna live higher. I got dreams I'm striving.
What's going on, guys? It's Toby Rosario, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about an experience that happened to me last month, and wanted to discuss that and talk about what it kind of left me thinking, right? The thoughts, the questions I started to ask myself from this experience, and that experience was a family member died, right? And to be quite honest, and to be fully transparent, I wasn't as close to this family member maybe as I should have been, right? We didn't have that, connection. It was just, we didn't really get to see each other like that. But I'm an empath, right? And I share the feelings of others. So when I got to the funeral and the viewing, it started to hit me at my core, and I saw some family members cry, and then I started to cry. And, long story short, how they have people speak eulogies for the people who passed away. They have family members, friends, and they just talk about the kind of person that person was, right? The person who passed away, they talk about who that person was, and they talk about all these great things about that person. So as I was sitting in church and listening to this great eulogy being spoken by a family member of the deceased, she was just describing this great man, and she was describing the times they shared, the moments that made them laugh, and the moments that made them cry. And as I was listening to these stories, I started, a tear came down my eyes, and because I could hear it in her voice, I can feel it, and I kind of felt, how this family member who passed away made her feel, right? There's a great quote by Maya Angelou, and she says, "You see, people might forget what you've done to them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel," something to that effect. And as I was listening to that eulogy, I started to process that all in my head, and I kind of paused for a moment and thought of some questions. I started to ask myself some questions, and the first question was, what will people say about me, right? How will I be remembered? What kind of memories will people remember me for? How will people describe how I made them feel, how I made them laugh, how I made them cry? What kind of legacy will I leave behind? What kind of impact am I making to those people around me? How many lives am I changing? How much am I giving back? My money, my resources, my time, my knowledge, to the people closest around me. What kind of life am I living? What kind of a man am I? What kind of man am I, right? What kind of life I'm living? For me, I want to be a great husband, and someday a great father, and a great brother, and a great cousin, and just a great influencer, someone who's been able to give back, and share his resources, his knowledge, his money, his time, and impact lives. That's the kind of legacy I want to live. So I started to process that all in my head the day at the church, and I started to really think about, am I living this life where when my time comes, will I have a legacy that will be something to be talked about, right? Will I have will people say good things about me? Will people say bad things about me? What kind of memories am I going to leave behind? What kind of people will I impact? How many lives will I change? Those are the questions I started to ask myself, in that moment. And so my challenge to you is, you should be asking those questions to yourself. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What kind of person? What kind of memories do you want to leave behind or be remembered for? How many lives you're going to impact? So I challenge you all to start to ask yourself these questions. Are you living a life where when your time comes, you will be remembered for having an impact on the people closest around you and people, from all over the world. Or if you don't want to, you don't have to do that, but I'm just saying, will you be remembered for something uh, other than a regular, other than just a regular person, someone who lived a life with purpose, someone who lived a life that impacted people around them, made them laugh, made them cry tears of joy. So let me know in the comments below, and what do you want your legacy to be, right? It doesn't have to be what I want it to be. I'm just curious to see what you guys want to be remembered for, right? Me personally, I want to be remembered for someone who left an impact, someone who changed lives, someone who was a giver, right? Someone who was a great father, a great husband. That's the kind of legacy I want to leave behind. That's what I want to be remembered for. That's what I want people to say when it's my time. That's what, when it's my time to go, and people are describing the person I was, how I made them laugh, how I made them cry, tears of joy, how I'm, put a smile on their face, how I made them feel. That's something I'm gonna start asking and being more aware of. Living a life with purpose, living a life that of impact. Leaving a legacy behind where I can look back and know that I was a person of integrity. So I'm curious to, my challenge to you guys is to start to ask yourself these questions as well. Let me know in the comments below what kind of legacy you want to leave behind, what kind of person you want to be remembered as, what kind of memories are you going to, you want people to share about you. That's my time. My name's Toby Rosario. Peace.